Well, thank you all very, very much. Good afternoon. I don't know how you followed that video. That was pretty cool. My speech is going to be very boring compared to that. But please keep eating. And thank you so much, Greg. Thank you for the kind words. It's really great to be here with all of you. I want to tell you that I just officially swore Greg Slater in as our Secretary of Transportation a couple of days ago. So congratulations, Greg. He did not have to say anything nice about me because he's already got the job, but I appreciate that. But he had done such an incredible job for us as State Highway Administrator, and I know he also serves on your Board of Directors and as Chair of the Transportation Data Management and Analytics Committee, and we're very lucky to have him in Maryland. I also want to thank your President, Patrick McKenna, and Executive Director, Jim Timon, and all of the CEOs of State Departments of Transportation and distinguished guests from all across the country who are here this afternoon. I want to give a shout out to a couple of other Marylanders. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Mike Cicada, the Executive Director of Maryland's Transportation Builders and Materials, and thank you for our co-host there today. Thank you, Mike, very much. I don't see Neil Peterson, but Neil's our former. There you go. Neil is another former Maryland State Highway Administrator who's the Executive Director of the Transportation Research Board. I just want to thank AASHTO not only for inviting me here to join you for this Washington briefing, but also, more importantly, for the important work that you do to develop transportation solutions, to help grow America's economy, to improve the quality of life of our citizens, and to enhance safety in states all across the nation. Last summer, I was proud to be elected by my colleagues to serve as chairman of the National Governors Association. Bill McBride, Executive Director of the NGA, is also here with us. Bill, thank you very much for your work. But most of America's governors joined me here just a couple of weeks ago in Washington for the NGA winter meeting. And while it may seem hard to believe here in the capital of divisiveness and dysfunction, the nation's governors on both sides of the aisle really are finding new ways to innovate, to reform, and to drive the debate, not just on transportation, but on a whole host of important issues. Governors actually are working together in a bipartisan way. They're showing leadership, making progress, and finding common sense solutions to some of the serious problems that face us. I have tried my best in Maryland to govern with civility and moderation and to avoid attempts to drive us to the extremes of either political party. In Maryland, that common sense pragmatism has guided our path on so many of the big challenges like transportation and healthcare, education, and the environment, where we have sought out common sense solutions, where we found middle ground and gotten things done for the people of our state. As Greg mentioned, this year, as chairman of the NGA, I'm trying to bring people together to tackle an issue that all of you are involved with each and every day, one that is so fundamental to our economy, to our environment, and to our way of life. Which is why I launched this year-long national initiative called Infrastructure Foundation for Success, which is focused on rebuilding, repairing, and modernizing America's infrastructure in ways to grow our economy, create jobs, and meet the needs of the 21st century. This initiative is composed of four main pillars: relieving congestion to boost economic competitiveness, eliminating red tape and integrating smart technology, protecting America's critical infrastructure, and financing and leveraging private sector investment. We've held productive summits, as you saw some of them in the video here, focused on each of these pillars all across the country and around the globe. We launched this initiative with most of the governors in Salt Lake City in July at our summer meeting where I was elected chair. In August, we then were in Boston with Governor Charlie Baker, where we were joined by New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu and Rhode Island Governor Gina Raimondo to discuss innovative ways to reduce traffic congestion. In September, we completed a fact-finding mission in Australia where we met with 3 of the premiers, with Prime Minister Scott Morrison, along with most of the leaders of the top infrastructure and investment companies in Australia. In October, we were hosted by Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer in Detroit, where we talked about protecting America's critical infrastructure. Last month, Governor Gavin Newsom hosted us in San Francisco, where we were joined by Tennessee Governor Bill Lee and Montana Governor Steve Bullock for a discussion on eliminating red tape and on smart technologies. And the winter meeting we just completed here in D.C., where I believe we had 44 governors. We had great plenaries and informative discussions on infrastructure. We'll be in Toronto in April with most of Canada's premiers. Governor Doug Ducey will host a summit in Phoenix in May, where we'll be discussing financing the future and leveraging private sector investments for infrastructure. And then we'll be wrapping up this initiative at the NGA summer meeting in Portland, Maine in August. So in my state of Maryland, we have taken a balanced, all-inclusive approach to infrastructure by moving forward, as that video showed, on nearly all of the highest priority transportation projects in every single jurisdiction all across our state. It's an unprecedented and historic investment in transportation infrastructure in both transit and roads and bridges. We have over 800 projects totaling $9 billion in roads and bridges that are currently, as we sit here today, under construction. We're investing a record $14 billion in transit, which includes, we have under construction the Purple Line right here in the Washington metropolitan area, in this region, which is a partnership between the federal, state, and local governments and the private sector. It's the largest P3 transit project in North America. We proposed and negotiated a regional solution to address WMATA's $500 million a year shortfall in order to save the Washington metro system, which maybe a couple of you have rode on today, I'm not sure. But after decades of discussion, we negotiated a deal to finally move forward on the Howard Street Tunnel, which will break a major East Coast bottleneck, a transport bottleneck, which will allow for double-stacked trains and dramatically increase production at the Port of Baltimore. It's going to create thousands of Maryland jobs. And we recently advanced an $11 billion P3 highway project to alleviate traffic congestion on I-495, which is the Capital Beltway, and I-270 to solve what has been the biggest problem that the National Capital Region has had for many, many decades. Our former Transportation Secretary, Pete Ron, I was saying this was the largest P3 highway project in North America, and he corrected me and said it was the largest one in the world. And I then fixed that to say it's the largest one in the known universe, because I'm not sure if maybe some other galaxy they may be doing something bigger, but we're excited to be moving forward on that. The Baltimore-Washington International Airport continues to be the #1 airport in the Washington metropolitan area and passenger traffic, #1 in this region. It's one of the most convenient and efficient airports in the nation. Port of Baltimore continues to break cargo records year after year, handling 43.6 million tons of international cargo last year, which is the most ever in history, thanks to our dredging efforts, which give us the ability to serve the largest cargo ships in the world. And my fellow governors, both Democrats and Republicans, all across America, thanks to the hard work of many of the people in this room, have many similar success stories to share in states throughout the nation, where you are upgrading roads and bridges and mass transit systems and improving airports and ports. And The goal of our NGA infrastructure initiative is to try to harness that collective strength of the states and to highlight all of the innovation that is going on in your states by bringing together not only state leaders and leaders from government at the federal level and the local level, but also business, private sector, nonprofits, and academia. Just bring the smartest people in the world together to come up with the best new ideas and innovative solutions in order to solve this infrastructure crisis in America. Not only to give the nation's governors and all of you new tools, but also to use our collective influence to drive action from our leaders here in Washington on infrastructure and things like a federal infrastructure package and the reauthorization of the surface transportation legislation. So while we are all working hard to do that, America's governors and all of you will be continuing to lead, continuing to find solutions, and will continue to get things done in our states. So I want to just sincerely thank you all for your public service, for your leadership in your states. And I just want to close by saying that AASHTO is a critically important voice in this infrastructure debate and a valued partner with us as the governors and our NGA initiative. And I just want to say thank you. And lastly, the state of Maryland is very much looking forward to hosting you in Baltimore this November for your 2020 annual meeting. So thank you all so much for having me this afternoon. Have a great conference.